I was out for a run today by Lake Michigan when I stopped to snap this picture. As I looked off into the cold blue distance, I was reminded of the fact that once upon a time back in the late 1840s and 1850s, there was a group called the Reorganized Church of Latter-day Saints, a group of Mormons who had set up shop on a tiny island in northern Lake Michigan called Beaver Island and had made a kingdom all their own here on Earth. Some of y'all already know about this guy, but a few of you don't. So today we're going to be learning about the fascinating King of Beaver Island, Mr. James Strang. Strang was a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints, which had started in upstate New York, but they had been chased off and ended up first in Missouri, then eventually in Illinois. Joseph Smith had had steady success seeing his church grow during this era of the Second Great Awakening, but eventually he saw communities turn on him from outside because of the practice of polygamy, multiple wives, and then members of his own church started turning on him as well. Smith met his end in Carthage, Illinois, when he jumped out of a window trying to run from attackers and was shot on the way down. Joseph Smith's death created a succession crisis, and into that vacuum many people stepped, but James Strang said he had a letter proving that Smith had named him as his hand-chosen successor. In spite of this letter that supposedly proved that Joseph Smith had hand-chosen James Strang as his successor, most of the Latter-day Saints did not accept Strang as their chosen leader. While the rest of the Latter-day Saints made the trek from Illinois to Utah, the Strangites made a boat journey from Burlington, Wisconsin, up to a small island in northern Lake Michigan known as Beaver Island. This 13 by 6 mile island in northern Lake Michigan became Strang's kingdom. His followers called him king. He had a crown. He wore a breastplate. He carried around a wooden scepter. He didn't just parade around like a king. His group of 2,500 followers had church services, they farmed, they fished. Around this time that Beaver Island became North America's largest supplier of freshwater fish. Strang himself became a naturalist who studied the lake trout and wrote up naturalist studies of how the fish reproduced and what they ate. Now, not everybody was happy for Strang and his little kingdom. For example, a lot of the neighboring communities on the shore, the federal government wasn't too psyched either. In fact, Millard Fillmore, the president, basically put out a legal hit on James Strang, accused him of piracy, of theft, and perjury, sent him to trial in federal court in Michigan. He was acquitted, he won over the jury, and he became so popular that he was eventually elected to the Michigan State House of Representatives and was in fairly good standing there. In the end, it was some of Strang's own congregation that turned on him. He had one of the members of his church whipped for adultery, and he and some of his friends went and shot James Strang. The federal government learned about this, and they basically thought, oh, you've done us a favor. So they didn't press charges against the killers. So by 1856, Strang and his followers were gone from Beaver Island, and this unusual story of a small kingdom in the middle of the Great Lakes came to an end. But if you want to learn more about this, check out the excellent book, Miles Harvey's The King of Confidence, where you can learn more. And also check out Dan Egan's book, Death and Life in the Great Lakes. Until then, Dr. Tim out.